Hello, welcome to the second segment of the Center for Nonprofit Excellence 4-segment series on starting a nonprofit organization. My name is Ed Cordes, and I direct the consulting services here at CNPE. In the first segment of this series, we discussed some important things you should consider before deciding to submit the paperwork to become a nonprofit, namely, careful articulation of the vision you have for our community, a thorough understanding of the obstacles and barriers to achieving that vision, and a certainty that the mission you intend for your nonprofit is unique and distinct from that of other nonprofits, so as not to be in competition for dollars and other support. If you have given careful consideration to these, it is time to take on the paperwork. In this segment, we will discuss three important applications: the submission of your articles of incorporation, the application for an employer identification number, and the application to gain tax-exempt status, that is, your nonprofit status, with the IRS. It begins with the Articles of Incorporation. Articles of Incorporation is a document that, once accepted by the Secretary of State, establishes your organization as a legal entity. It contains information about your organization, its name and purpose, mailing address, and the names of the members of your initial board of directors. It names the person incorporating the organization and the registered agent who will receive official notices. It also contains statements about your corporate purpose, avoiding inurement, that is, benefiting people impermissibly, lobbying, adherence to your mission, and where assets will go should you dissolve your nonprofit. It is filed with the Secretary of State for $8 and can be submitted online. However, there is an issue with using the online form to submit your articles in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. The template provided by the Kentucky Secretary of State does not meet IRS requirements for nonprofit articles of incorporation, so you should use it only as a guide. In addition to the statements in this template, you must also supply statements about your purpose, inurement, lobbying, adherence to mission, and dissolution. You can find example of these statements in IRS Publication 557. We suggest you combine these statements with those required by the Secretary of State into a paper document and submit that. We also strongly suggest you get legal help with filing your articles. Form SS4 is the application for your 9-digit employee identification, or EIN number, that you will use for all sorts of local, state, and federal filings and reports. You can apply for this online as well, and if you do, you will likely receive the number the same day. There's no fee to apply. IRS Form 1023 is the big one. Through it, you obtain your nonprofit status with the IRS, or recognition of exemption under Section 501c3 in the Internal Revenue Code, as the IRS puts it. It's a long application, the equivalent of some 26 pages, but you will not need to complete every part of the form in its schedules. Be prepared to answer questions about your organizational structure, your activities, and projected revenue and expenses. In addition, you will need to submit as attachments your articles of incorporation and bylaws if bylaws have been adopted by your board. It is also a good idea to submit any additional information about your nonprofit, its programs, and its activities if it's available. Remember, through this application, you are trying to convince the IRS that you deserve nonprofit status. Any additional information that you can supply to assist them in that assessment will be to your benefit. The application must be submitted online, and the fee to do so is $600. It can take the IRS anywhere from 2 to 8 months to process your application. But once you have received your nonprofit status, it is retroactive back to the date of your organization's incorporation. The IRS does provide what it calls a streamlined option for obtaining tax-exempt recognition with Form 1023-EZ. This form is considerably shorter and does not require the depth and breadth of information that the full 1023 form requires. The IRS developed this form in an effort to speed up the process for certain applicants, namely those who project that their gross receipts will not exceed $50,000 in any of the next 3 years, do not have total assets in excess of $250,000, plus 26 other requirements that most will find easy to meet. The form is submitted online and the fee is $275. You can expect to receive your status in a matter of weeks. A final note on this form, however. Even though you may meet these requirements to apply for your status using this form, you may want to give this decision some careful consideration. Studies have shown that in the effort to streamline the process with this form by requiring less information, the IRS has ended up granting tax-exempt status to a significant number of organizations that in fact do not meet the standard for tax exemption. Those organizations, in turn, are in danger of having that status stripped if it is discovered. As a result, some potential supporters are reluctant to support nonprofits who have obtained their status using the 1023-EZ for fear that their contributions might not be used for true nonprofit purposes. In addition, completing the full version of the Form 1023 provides an added measure of reassurance to potential supporters that the nonprofit has thought through its mission, programming, and financial model, because the form requires that information in some detail. Filing Form 1023-EZ is quicker and easier, but understand that it does present a certain level of potential risk down the road. Once you have completed and submitted the paperwork and have received your status, that's when the real work begins. Among your next important tasks are forming a board of directors, developing a strategic plan, and of course, raising the funds. And those are the subjects of segments 3 and 4 in CMPE's 4-part series on starting a nonprofit organization.